Hey, you guys, Sean with GOATGLOVES here, and welcome back to episode 7 of my podcast, Spittin' Seeds. Today's guest on the podcast is a Division II pitcher, a glove collector like myself, as well as a baseball content creator, Joey Hosey. How you doing, bro?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. Is this your first podcast to be on?
Yeah, it actually is. I mean, I've definitely thought about starting one and stuff, but it's great to get this experience and kind of like see how a podcast actually is.
Yeah, for sure. So I first found you on Instagram, and what's crazy is like I started Instagram probably 4 years ago, at least glove collecting Instagram. And I remember you from a long time ago. Like you've been on there for a while and you've stayed in it, because most people kind of just like fade in and fade out, but you've been here for a while.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, ever since 2016, I've kind of been pretty consistent with it. I mean, like obviously there's some times where you're like more active than not. I'm sure you can agree with that.
For sure.
But there's some times where you're more active than not. But I mean, like recently I've been pretty heavy into it and kind of posting all the time and trying to do my best with all that.
Yeah. I saw you got into reselling more now, right?
Yeah. So I started a lot with collecting and stuff like that. And kind of like, I'm sure you can agree with this too, is like every paycheck I get, like I work 2 jobs and everything like that. And every paycheck that I get goes into gloves, like just because it's something that I love. And obviously, something I like to do and collect and all that. So then basically I started doing a little bit more reselling just because like it would help kind of after I resell, I take that profit and then buy gloves that I want to keep and stuff like that. So it's kind of trying to start this cycle that will, be helpful in the end to like build my collection, but also like, be interacting with everyone and giving people good deals and stuff like that. So
yeah, for sure. I kind of did the flipped way to where like I started reselling and then I'm mostly collecting now and then trying to grow my social pages and then eventually make money on that. But yeah, I think reselling is good because especially for these young kids that are getting into gloves, it just teaches you so much about, first of all, gloves. And like if you have a good hobby, that's like really good to have because you're just going to be bored, and like to find a passion is really important, I feel like. And then you learn a lot, and that's, if you can teach yourself about something, that will just help you so much in the future.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I feel like when you're flipping these gloves and getting gloves coming in and out, you learn so much. And then like once you learn that, you can teach everyone else or anyone else who asks you questions. I'm sure you get a bunch of questions too, like saying like
Totally.
glove or like, stuff like that. So you're definitely right about that, you learn a lot while you're flipping them and stuff.
Yeah. And like it's less work, especially like if you like it and enjoy it, like reselling shouldn't feel like work.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like for me, it's fun. Like, because I like, the gloves that I keep are kind of like at a higher level now. So it's like, I don't really want, not saying I don't want, but like, I don't find as much interest in stock gloves or anything like that. So like, getting these stock gloves is cool because it's still like, I'm getting them, but then like, I know they're going, but like, I still have them and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. And then eventually it turns into a glove that I'll keep for a long time. So.
Yeah. It's funny. Like you mentioned that the stuff that you and I get is more limited now. And like stock gloves, it's like when I first started, like an A2000 was like crazy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now it's like just a stock like 1786 doesn't, it's kind of sad for me, honestly, because like I wish I still had that joy that like, oh, I'm getting like this brand new A2000, but if it's just like a stock glove, I'm like, I'm gonna sell it anyway. Like,
Yeah,
dude, it's kind of sad, but at the same point, like I'm like, we're so lucky to have the gloves that we get to have, so I'm not complaining at all.
no, me neither. But just to touch on that real quick too, is like me too. Kind of, I used to, I'm sure again, like we're probably going to connect a lot with this stuff, but like I used to be in school, like in high school, like get a glove during the day and I'm like, oh, like I can't wait, it's coming today, it's coming today. And then I would like hustle home from school, like see the package on my porch, like be super excited and all that, and then go in and open it up and just have that joy. And like now it's kind of like, oh, I got a glove coming today. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I get more excited for like the limited stuff now, but it's just not the same with stock gloves. But I remember like I would get home and then get the glove and like immediately just like clean it, condition it, and take pictures of it. Like that was like the first thing I did when I got home.
Yeah, same.
So, when you like have these gloves, do your parents say anything about it or like your siblings or anything? Cause like my sister just loves to like pester me about it,
Right.
but it's just different. Cause you know, most people aren't like, don't have 12 gloves. So it's just,
Definitely, yeah.
how do people react to that? Like when you tell them that?
Yeah, so I mean, I have like 25 or something right now.
Okay.
Um, so I have a lot of gloves, but basically like at first when I like didn't have a following, kind of didn't have this, didn't have that, like I started just getting more gloves in and out. And my mom was kind of like, "What are you doing, dude?
Uh,
Uh like what's the point? Like you can only use one at a time." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I really like it." And so
yeah.
they're okay, like whatever, let me do my thing. And then I kept getting more, kept getting more, kept getting more. And then obviously like when I started gaining like a little bit of a following and stuff, like they began to thought it was like really cool. That there's a community of people that like love baseball gloves, and you would never think either. Like when I first made my page, I was like, okay, there's probably like 20 other people that really like baseball gloves, but
Yeah.
then you get into it and there's hundreds and thousands even, which is
Mhm.
really cool. But yeah, like it started off as them being like, "What are you doing?" kind of thing, like it's just not normal or whatever. But then it turned into something cool, and now it's just like, oh, like he has gloves. Like now it's just normal.
Yeah, I remember when I started my page, I don't think I told like anyone until like
Yeah,
probably like
yeah.
a year and a half in. And like, dude, now my friends, like I go to my friend's house, I like dap everyone up, and sometimes I get Sean, and then other times I'll just hear like a "What up, Goat Gloves" like
Yeah,
across the
exactly.
room. Your friends do that? Has anyone called you like by your Instagram name?
100%. So like my close friends especially, like I'm barely Joey anymore. They call me GBG. uh,
Yeah.
just like short for great ball gloves, but like
Yeah.
they call me GBG, and like it's just like sometimes hilarious. And then like so in my friend group, there's not really there, like my brother plays college baseball, he's actually on my team, but other than that there's no more baseball players.
Uh-huh.
So they'll all kind of like make jokes, like sometimes they even go the distance to make an Instagram page called like Mizuno Lover, like just stupid stuff just to like mess with me kind of. But like it's all jokes and it's all funny. But yeah, they always call me GBG and stuff like that. It's hilarious.
Yeah, dude, that's really funny. All my friends were getting in my giveaway that I just had, and I would mess with them. I was like, "Dude, you won!" They would, really, and they would get so mad because like I was like, "Dude, I could if I really wanted to, I never would." But I was like, "Dude, I could really just rig it and like
Yeah,
get it." But
100%.
no, I of course I would never do that. But
Yeah.
anyways, I see you now. You're on YouTube and TikTok. That's awesome. Do you
Yeah.
have like plans? Like I've started this podcast. What's in the future for you for like content wise?
Honestly, like there's so much that I really want to do. I'm just kind of scratching the surface. I mean, I'm sure you feel the same way with this too. Is like I'm starting to really get used to being on camera and kind of being in front of the
Yeah,
camera. Uh, it's a real thing. Like when you started a channel, like I felt very awkward talking to
yeah.
a camera.
I still kind
Um,
of do, honestly.
yeah, same, 100%. And I get like really nervous, even though it's just like one of my friends shooting it or like me recording it. I get really nervous, and then
Yeah.
I kind of think I'm like, why am I nervous? You know what I mean? It's like what I do. But now, so I'm starting to really get um, used to it and stuff like that. So, which is really cool. And so, I definitely want to start a podcast too. And I want mine to kind of be centered around like kind of sort of similar to yours,
Mhm.
gloves, and just have different people on there talking about different things, which I think is really cool. Just because like I love the idea, and like I think it's really cool obviously that you do it too, is just like getting to talk to people and like having individual conversations with them that other people can listen to. I think is a really cool like aspect of something.
Yeah.
um and then also when I get back to school, you guys are going to see a lot more content of like me doing like daily vlogs, like day in the lives, and then like maybe recording trips and then stuff like that, and then also continue on like all the glove videos and stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have any gloves that you're looking at or like maybe brand wise or getting customs and stuff to like diversify your collection?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like so I was looking at my collection the other day and I'm like, wow, I have a lot of Wilsons. Like obviously I'm a Wilson guy, but
Yeah,
like
me too. I'm mostly Wilson.
yeah,
So
yeah. And so I'm like I really don't hate Rawlings, but like I've always loved Wilson. So I was like, I'm gonna try to start getting more customs from rounds and stuff like that. So I definitely want to try that out and get more quality rounds just to see if my mind changes a little bit. But I
Yeah.
mean, I think I'll always be a Wilson guy, but
For sure. I just think the important thing, at least for me, like part of my channel is just getting people to know, like, and getting people educated to know why they should like something, or at least why I like something, and then at least know why you like something and then form your opinion around that instead of just like, oh, I heard like Wilsons are really good. So, and they look good. So I'm going to buy one. Like, I think the real reason is to know why you like something, and then you can don't bash other people, but you can be like a Wilson guy or a Rawlings guy or stuff like that. So
yeah, 100%. I totally respect that too. I think that's a great way to look at it.
yeah. And also part of that is like education, but at the same time, sure, you with your content as well as like building at least like a bigger community, because of like how we have one on Instagram, but maybe a market for gloves. Like to me, I think of sneakers, like they're
Yeah,
sneaker heads and like I'm a glove head. So I think brands can do a better job of that. So I kind of wanted your take, like, how do you think ourselves as well as the brands can do like a better job of building hype maybe around like gloves and stuff like that?
yeah. So I definitely think that like you know, sneaker reselling, like as soon as a sneaker drops, everyone wants it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think that, Wilson was doing a great job with the glove of the months, like because some of them, like if you look at it, it's really weird. Like some of them are really rare and everyone wants them. And then other ones will go for the same price that they were
Yeah.
originally put out for. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And so I think like brands need to do a better job of finding out what we like and what we're gonna like obsess over,
Mhm.
and then we could do about like not a better job, but we could like do a like better job finding the things that are more rare and kind of keep pushing them. But like we already do because I mean you have some stuff in your collection that like many other people don't have. I have some
Yeah.
stuff in mine that many people other like don't have. And so that's what makes it cool is because I think it is not turning into like something like sneakerheads, but like I would consider myself a glove head. Like
Yeah.
I have stuff that I love and that is hard to find, and like the good sneakerheads have stuff that they love and that's hard to find. So I definitely think it's a cool idea, and I definitely want the community to expand it to something like that,
Mhm.
while also like being the community that we are, because I think it's very cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Part of the glove of the month thing, because I've heard it come up a couple times, is like the companies aren't making more of one glove or less than another, but the demand, because like the all red obbies, like stuff that
Yeah,
really pops, that's what people want. So it's gonna feel like there's less because more people want it, and then it's less accessible. So I think if anyone's confused about that, it's just really what happens. So um, that's basically the thing about limited gloves as well. I think like for sneakers at least you see collabs a lot, and I think that would be something really cool in baseball. So like
I
Nike
in
off
your
white,
content,
like
yeah.
stuff like Travis Scott and Nike, like stuff like that. If we could get like a Travis Scott A2000, like
Yeah,
stuff like that. And I've been thinking a lot of stuff like that, and maybe if I get into a position where I can talk to these brands and have some influence on that, I think that would be a really cool idea.
oh, I do too, for sure. Yeah. And like the thing that you said right there that like means a lot to me is vision, because you look at the pages that are starting, and when you started, I'm sure like you have to have a vision,
Yeah.
like to make what you want to grow into and stuff like that. And so I think that's really cool. But I've seen your work like I don't know if it was on TikTok or Instagram or
Mhm.
YouTube. I don't know which ones where you actually made the collabs, and I thought that was super cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so
And
I posted that one on TikTok, and it might be on Instagram. I'm not for sure because I repost them
yeah, yeah.
on different platforms. But yeah, like stuff like that is crazy, and it's definitely given me like a perspective that of what it can be and like kind of what I want to make it to be. And now all I have to do is like do what I'm doing, like put out content, educate people, and then like more people will want that, and then hopefully the brands can recognize that in the future.
Absolutely, yeah, and just the people that are around you and the people that are going to help you get there too, and
Hmm.
that's another big thing to me is like we all should like help each other as much as we
Yeah.
can, because I mean, like we are a community, and I think we do a lot of that, which is really cool. But yeah, there's so much room to grow within the community, and obviously like everything that's going on and how to make a difference with gloves and like everything
Yeah.
like that. And so I think that's all the important stuff in the community, and then like the collabs and stuff like that would be unbelievably cool if we
For
could
sure.
ever get.
Yeah. And I think part of our position, because you and I know so much about gloves, like I try to keep my DMs empty with like questions and all that. Like I get so many stuff like, how should I break my glove in? I have a crease here. It's not forming the way I want to. Like I try to like do as much as I can and answer like every DM. So, and except for the ones that are like, how many likes for a free glove? Like that stuff, like I'll just leave you on red. But literally I try to answer everyone because they're the future. Like you and I are getting, you don't grow out of gloves, but at some point, like we're not buying as much because we're, in college, like at the end of glove buying really. So we have to inform and like help out the younger generation because our accounts are matured now and they're the kids that are going to make glove accounts and start reselling and stuff. So
Sure, man. Yeah,
that's
it's kind of cool that it's coming full circle, you know what I mean?
for
Because,
sure.
you know, I got in when I was I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. So I was like 13, 14.
Yeah.
And I was looking up to all these accounts, and some account or a lot of the accounts aren't even here anymore. Um,
Hmm.
but you're looking up to all these accounts that have so many followers, like Ray and like,
Yeah.
yeah, Ray and
The
like
revolution.
yeah, and Matt from the Glove Bros and like all that. Like you're looking up to these people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And no, and I'm not saying like our accounts are like huge or anything like that, but I'm saying like we're at a point where it's like now there's people like coming in that are like, oh, like look at these accounts, you know what I mean? They have really cool gloves and stuff like that. And those are gloves from 5 years ago that like no one else
Yeah.
had, stuff like that. So but I also think that like you said, like we're at a now point where we're both in college, so like we can't buy as many gloves and stuff like that because obviously,
Mhm.
things are tight when you're in college. But
Yeah.
I feel like if we just continue to put out content with the gloves that we have, and like you said, spread all that information and stuff like that, and then when we're out of college, we're at a point where we can do it again, which is really cool. So
Yeah, it's really fun, and I hope to someday be able to like take my knowledge and skills to a brand that makes gloves like Wilson or Rawlings, and hopefully someday they'll listen to the ideas that I have, or maybe I can design for them, something like that. But
and me too, like I kind of want to be on the sales side of stuff
yeah,
uh, someday, which is cool.
yeah, and I think like part of my goal was to have a job like that, but also to be able to have the following to where it's like attractive to these companies, where they can see I'm making an impact and an influence, and like I know what I'm talking about, and I'm valuable to them in that way.
Yeah,
So
sure.
that's
Make
just
yourself an asset.
yeah, exactly. So you talked a little bit about like when we were starting, how like when we first had our pages. Have you ever looked back in your like archived posts and like old DMs?
Yes, 100%. So I like I was I actually some person that like was way back that just started coming back. I forget the username. I'm sure you know him too, but
Hmm.
he kind of DM'd me today, and I'm like looking back on our old DMs, and I was like, no way I said all this, but he like wanted a glove, and I was like, my grammar was horrible.
Yeah,
Like I was like, I'll never do that, like stuff like that, and I was just so like unprofessional, but like I was 13.
yeah,
But which is funny, but now it's like I would never do something like that, which is kind of funny. But and then all my old DMs are kind of just like me, and then I don't know about you, but I always look back on my old collections,
yeah.
like old collection photos and stuff like that, and I'm like, wow, like this turned into this, and like kind of see it all come back,
That's
which is
crazy.
really cool.
You definitely have some like regrets, but also like
Right, yeah.
it's tough looking back at those collections. But I remember looking at my archives and I'm posting like the tracking of my glove that's coming in and like stuff like that. Cause now my profile is very like streamlined. It's like high quality glove pictures and thumbnails and TikToks and stuff. So to look back at like the the terrible pictures that I took, it's hilarious.
No, yeah, 100%.
So you're in college now and you're playing ball. What's because most of the listeners I think are younger ball players than us. Well, I'm done playing now, but then they're younger than us. So what's the differences in college compared to like what you're used to?
Yeah. I mean, so I watched your podcast on the D2 pitchers, and
Yeah.
like I'm a D2 pitcher. So it's gonna be kind of a lot of that. But like they said too, it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to balance like 6 a.m. class, I mean 6 a.m. workout, then 8 a.m. class to like noon, and then you got another workout at like 1 or 3, and then another workout at night. So it's like really a full-time job, and kind of just like managing your time's very hard. But
Yeah. So you're a freshman in college, correct?
yeah, I'm a freshman. It's my first year, obviously, but it's been weird because of COVID and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But so for what it was, with all the restrictions and stuff, like it was still like very time consuming. But yeah, I am a freshman.
For sure. So in college, I feel like the main difference from high school is in high school you've known these kids since elementary school, and like they're your family because you know them and you play with them. Where in college, it's like you hear these players in the College World Series like these are my brothers and stuff like that. Like I feel like that has to be a pretty different dynamic when you get to college and you're in there with like no one that you know except your literal brother that you play with, right?
Yeah, which is
But
pretty cool.
yeah.
But
So how's that different?
yeah, so I mean, in high school, at least for me, I actually in high school I actually got cut junior year. I transferred so I won a national I mean, not a national, I won a state championship at a school my freshman year.
That's awesome.
Uh, and then so after that I wanted to transfer to like a better school to play like higher competition. So and I was like kind of like the guy at, or not the guy, but like we were a good team, but it was in a bad league. But like
Yeah.
me, my brother, and then like all the older guys, like we had a really good team. And so like my confidence was way up after we won, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I'll transfer to this school. And so I transferred, and then got put on JV for the first year, and I was like, oh, this is weird. Like I'm not on varsity anymore. Okay,
Yeah.
whatever. And so I kept playing, like did well throughout the whole season. And then the next year I tried out, and the varsity coach was like, yeah, you're probably a college pitcher, but you just don't like have what it takes for my team. And I was just like, okay, like
Huh.
whatever. So I was obviously very messed up about that. And another thing, a message that I really, really want to spread to people is just like, don't focus on stuff like that, because like if you love the game and you love it enough, like coaches are going to see you anywhere you are, like
Yeah.
going to happen, like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But yeah, so I got cut junior year from my high school, and so I was kind of like all very, very like I thought the world was gonna end.
Yeah.
um but so I then started just playing for my summer teams and stuff like that, and I started to progress as a player and stuff like
Mhm.
that, and the recruiting process for me was kind of all my summer ball teams and stuff like that. So I started like gaining like whatever attention from coaches throughout my summer seasons, and then that's how I committed to play college baseball. um but yeah, it was definitely different because I didn't have the high school team necessarily after
Yeah.
my freshman and sophomore year. But like the summer teams, like it's all your friends, it's all who you
Yeah.
grew up with and stuff like that. And when you get to a big place like a big college, like it's just like all, like they were saying the last thing, it's like all players that were the guy, you know what I mean, like
Mhm.
the one everyone looked to on their team, and now you're in a locker room full of them. And so it's kind of like, oh, what do I do? But it does turn into something like that, like a brotherhood, because like that's what brings everyone together, kind of, is like we need to take everything that we did individually on the way to get here and put it together to make us like a good team.
For sure. And I bet even more because you're saying it's a full-time job. I mean, you're working out multiple times a day. You're at the field multiple times a day and you're doing all this stuff. Like if you hang out with people long enough, you're going to build connections like that. So that's something really cool. And like I really respect that from players that go that far to college. So that's something really cool, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely.
As a player, ball players are said to be a little superstitious, maybe, have some routines. Do you have any like that? I know I did in high school.
Yeah, mine is solely around gloves, to be honest.
Really?
Uh, yeah, like if if I have a good outing with a glove,
Mm-hmm.
I'm using the glove the next game. And if I have a bad outing with a glove, I'm using a different one the next game. And like it's kind of
Go.
all around that. It's very weird. And like I have gloves where if I never had a good outing with them, I trade it or like sell it, like stuff like that. I'm very superstitious with my glove. But other than that, it's, yeah, that's pretty much my superstitions.
Do you ever think about if you didn't sell and trade gloves? Like most people only have one glove. Like what if you have one bad outing with that glove? You just gonna sell it, start over?
I have to, I guess. I don't know. I mean, ever since I was 13, I was never really in the position where I didn't have another one to use. So
Exactly. I mean,
yeah,
that's funny. For me, I was a catcher. But my superstition came from batting. So I would get batting gloves, and then if I didn't do good, like I'd go like 2 at bats, 2 or 3. If I don't get a hit, like next game or next at bat, like no batting gloves. And
yeah,
if that doesn't work, then like I'll get a teammate's bat. Like
yeah.
I literally just kept trying everything until like something worked. I'm sure like it probably had no impact really on the game, but it's a mindset. It's
I feel
all
like
about what you think.
when you're comfortable with something, you want to do better. And then when
Exactly.
you're uncomfortable, it's just like you're more focused on being uncomfortable with it, and then that takes your focus off what you're doing. So
Hey, that's I'll go with that. That's what I feel like.
yeah,
So you're a pitcher. I know you have a ton of pitching gloves and some cool customs for sure. So when you're in the game, because like, oh, that one's awesome. I
yeah,
got my 44 right here as well,
yep,
a new one. So
love that. I
um,
watched that video too.
appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, that's one of my best videos. I thought it would do pretty well. So
Yeah, no, definitely liked it. Enjoyed it.
pitchers are interesting because you don't play every game. You're
No,
1 in 5 if you're a starter, or maybe 1 every 3 if you're a closer. So you have a lot of time on your hands in games. So
yeah,
I
for
know
sure.
in college maybe y'all haven't had games yet. I'm assuming, or maybe some scrimmages.
Yeah, we only had 2 scrimmages, but
Okay, so how do you keep yourself busy? Because like I'm used to being a catcher in every play, every game. I have a pretty full game to
yeah.
where I can't imagine just sitting around and doing nothing. So what do you do to keep busy?
I to be honest with you, I'm pretty much a clown, so like I kind of just like try all the different seeds I can.
There we go.
Stuff like that, just to keep myself like entertained. And then I also try to keep like the team entertained, like on the bench and stuff like that. And kind of like, I don't know, like I'll have my one day and you still got to remain like, so we have 4 games a weekend. And if I'm going to pitch that last game, like you got to remain locked in that whole time,
Yeah.
um, just to get ready. But like, yeah, so I mean, it all depends on the games and stuff like that, but definitely just kind of like hanging out and just try to bring like an energy to the team that keeps everyone engaged and stuff like that.
There you go. I definitely feel that because I was the same way in school,
Yeah,
because school is like it's so boring and you have these long days, and you do like you I actually feel like you do like nothing in high school. Like
yeah, I agree.
it's busy work, and then once you do that, it's like done. And especially like in downtimes, like we had like study halls and stuff like that. Like literally all I would do, I just get up and dance, like go mess with people, like just do funny stuff to like entertain people, because I would just get bored. Like I've self-diagnosed ADHD, so I just like I'm bouncing off the walls in school. I was like I'm contained in this room, like I gotta do something, so I just get up and move. So I definitely feel that.
Yeah, yeah.
So as far as MLB goes, I don't know what your plans are if you want to be in MLB. I know you talked about glove design and sales and stuff like that, but the MLB is in a weird spot. I feel like there's a maybe some division. There's less baseball fans, I feel like, now than ever, and especially in the older generation, there's a lot of them. But once you get down to our age and the younger generation, like it's scarce, and that's as a baseball fan to like see the sport like dying off in young kids. Like my childhood was built around baseball, and that's like it's kind of sad to see. But what do you think that we can do as fans, maybe, or especially the people that work for the MLB, and what can they do to grow the game, like kind of like the hype around gloves, like how do we grow the game?
Yeah, so I for this specifically, I really look at the NBA,
Okay.
because the NBA really, really, I feel like did a great job, like kind of grasping their audience
Yeah.
and kind of like making it a brand. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Make like because when you look at it, the MLB is a business, the NHL is a business,
Mm-hmm.
NBA is a business, the NFL is a business. Like, and so it's just like anything else. Like you try to grasp your audience to watch your videos, to do
Yeah.
this, to grow, and so do I, everything like that. And so the NBA really did a great job, like kind of figuring out what worked and what didn't. And I feel like the MLB just needs to be a lot more hands-on and like, use these players' brands to make your brand bigger. You know what I mean? Because if you look at the NBA, like there's some people in the NBA with 10 million followers. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? In the MLB, like you're lucky to get a guy with 5 or anything like that. And not everything's about followers, obviously, but using those guys to kind of make people want to watch the game. And I feel like that comes around everywhere. And I also feel like it starts in high school and in
Yeah.
college, because when you look at like YouTube and stuff, like you see a lot of like high school basketball players, like
Mhm.
mixtapes, how they're coming
Yeah.
up and stuff like that.
Especially like Zion, like once in a generation players, he's everywhere. It's like
Yep,
that's what people know him for is those nasty dunks in high school, like just
exactly.
yamming on little kids.
Yeah. And like, so I think that if there were a lot more players and a lot more people, and I think like even you and I and everyone else in the glove community is going to have a part in this too, is like
Mhm.
putting more aspects of baseball. Like baseball is not just the game, like
Yeah.
there's gloves, there's everything like that, and I'm sure you agree.
Yeah.
um but like putting those things to work and like making the game more enjoyable because of other things too.
Yeah, like NBA, I see it's grown as not just a sport, but it's grown into a culture. Like
Yeah,
people that play basketball, like they have the basketball shoes, like that's part of style now. They've developed and put roots into other industries and stuff like that. So what I think the MLB needs to do, in my opinion, is going off you is like branding the players and stuff like that. But I think what might turn down a lot of players is they don't have time. They're working full jobs
yeah,
as an athlete, and maybe they don't have time to do what Trevor Bauer is doing, and that might
exactly.
turn off some players. But if the MLB can get their own people, say put 5 people per team to just shoot videos for the whole team, like I think that would do enormous things for the game and the sport.
Yeah, me too, 100%, because everything's under a magnifying glass for the NBA. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And there's a lot more players that like share their life with everyone. And so I think that's what baseball needs to do. And like you said, I totally agree with like recording more and just kind of giving people something to look forward to, and giving
Yeah.
kids just like giving kids something to dream towards, you know?
Yeah, like imagine if we had a player like Mike Trout that we get to watch his pregame hitting or
Yeah.
his their infielders when they're taking ground balls and like imagine like a GoPro view of that. Like if
Even like training videos of these
exactly like
players that are
that would
like,
really like imagine kids they wouldn't listen to their coaches. They would just listen to Mike Trout. Like what do these coaches know? Like I think stuff like that would just be so cool and it would it would give that connection to the kids that would really make them like want to come back and keep playing baseball and keep watching baseball.
I totally agree.
Some breaking news today was that Theo Epstein, he was from the Cubs and he's now in the commissioner's office for baseball for on play management, I believe, something like that. But he was basically saying that he wants more action in the game, to get the ball in play more and to have these players to show their athleticism. I mean, they're entertainers at the end of the day. So
Definitely.
one thing that came to my mind was the pine tar and foreign substance rule. So as a pitcher, I think you might have an interesting opinion on this. Um, I think if they crack down on that, and because something like 80% of pitchers use like a foreign substance in the MLB. So if I say you crack down on that and it's already a rule, once you crack down on that, pitching gets less nasty, more
Yeah.
balls in play. So as a pitcher, I'm sure you probably don't use a foreign substance, but you can tell that pitchers are going to be mad if their performance goes down. And then, but as a fan and as a pitcher, what do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, as a fan, not as a pitcher, I feel like I would love to see way more balls go in play,
Yeah.
and like to see home runs and like God,
Yeah.
it's like me as a Red Sox fan growing up too. I'm from Boston, obviously.
Mhm.
Uh, but me as a Red Sox fan going up, like the things that I remember is going to Fenway Park and seeing Dustin Pedroia hit it over the green monster.
Mhm.
Every time I went to Fenway Park, it was either him hitting it over the green monster or David Ortiz hitting like the farthest ball I've ever seen in real life.
Mhm.
Um, and stuff like that. And so I feel like definitely like you want to see more hits and stuff. But then like as a pitcher, you obviously, you know, want to pitch your best. But I
Yeah.
think that it's more important to, you know, like if they can't use that stuff, it's gonna force them to work 10 times harder
Yeah.
to like get the same results without using anything like that. So I think it would overall make the culture of the game so much better.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And pitchers are already throwing harder than ever right now. So the hitters are already at disadvantage. And if you can even the playing field maybe a little bit in a way that they're already cheating, so you're not really disadvantaging them, you're just taking away whatever advantage that they did have. But I think that would be incredible to grow the game. And I think people, it's not really about the time limit. You know, there's like games too long, but if you look at other sports, it's not really too long. It's maybe
Yeah.
the pace of play that I think throws people off. So I think once we increase that, it would really make a difference.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think about the shifts and all that?
So for me, I think it's not like it's more about strategy, and you can always beat strategy with another strategy. So you can beat the shift, you can bunt to the left side where no one's there and get a single or double. So I'm honestly fine with the shift. I think you can beat strategy with other strategy where they're not getting a competitive advantage from it, really. I mean, you're using analytics, which everyone is in baseball. So, and you don't really see a difference between people or teams that are using it a lot versus not. Like, if it works, it works, and then they're not doing anything illegal and with a
Yeah,
competitive advantage. So you can always find ways around it. So I'm honestly all for the shift.
I agree. Yeah. I think it comes down to preparation in that sense. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the best team win, and something I miss about the game, and that I try to bring to the game
Hmm.
is kind of like once you step in between those two lines, like it's war
Yeah.
until the end. And I don't get that feeling anymore. You know what I mean? Like from the MLB, I mean, like I feel like they just play, you know what I mean? And until playoffs or until the World Series, then
Yeah.
it's on. And I feel like with the NBA, like once you step on the court, like you want to win that game. And then but then there's like the load management and all that.
Yeah.
But I do strongly feel that like even the players in the MLB like have to have that mentality that like I'm going to win this game no matter what at all costs, and I
Yeah.
just feel like they don't anymore.
For sure. Going off that like competitive edge, we'll wrap this up after this. But for a
Uh,
pitcher, like the batters have bat flips, like fielders celebrate. You've seen the Ole Miss players do their through the
Yeah,
legs, high like crazy stuff like that. But as a pitcher, you don't really have that. So what
yeah.
what do you think about like throwing up celebrations after strikeouts and not to show up the batter, but to have passion about the game to bring some entertainment? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Are you an Astros fan?
I am, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I you can say whatever you want. I really don't care.
Yeah, yeah. You're probably not gonna like this statement as much as anyone else, but I love Joe Kelly. Um,
Okay.
and that's just because like you can like he used to be on the Red Sox obviously, but
Yeah.
you can just like feel his passion, I feel like for me anyway. And I also love like if you're in the MLB especially or even in any league, any
Mhm.
even like men's league softball, anything like you know there's like those hitters that everyone wants to get out.
Yeah,
Um and stuff like that. And so like once you get one of those guys out, I feel like you have every right to celebrate, you know what I mean? And
for
like
sure.
so I feel like kind of it all depends on the player and stuff like that. But I mean, like if you want to get excited, it's just like anything else. Like you have every right to get excited.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. You're saying there's players you want to get out and that there's those names across the league where it's like, dude, I struck this dude out. I forgot who it was. I saw some picture on Twitter, and his bio said was I struck out Mike Trout. And his pin tweet was a video of it, and I thought it was the funniest thing ever. Like
Yeah.
that stuff is hilarious.
Like if you're a pitcher going against like I don't know, like or he's obviously retired, but like if you're a pitcher going against David Ortiz, you're gonna want to strike him out.
Yeah. I mean,
Or
the
like
goal is to strike out everyone. So, but especially those.
like yeah, but like you get like a flip switches in your head. I mean,
Yeah,
the switch flips in your head like when that guy gets to the plate and it's like I got to get this guy out.
for
So
sure.
yeah,
Well, dude, I think that's a great place to close it out. Thank you so much for being on here.
no, thank you for having me. I deeply appreciate it.
Of course, I'll make sure to hit you up on Instagram, guys. If you're listening or watching, make sure you check out stuff Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Great ball gloves. Go check out Joey. He does some great stuff. He has a crazy collection. Almost, I think you have like twice the amount of gloves I have. So for sure, if you guys like my collection, you'll love his.
Appreciate
For
it.
all of you watching and listening, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.